dancing intros, man. These dancing intros are great for me because it gets me loose and limber. And tech people are awkward when it comes to talking, so it breaks the ice. Anyway, hi, we're back with the latest episode of the Goosed Podcast, and we've got actually a really good one today. So QR codes, you see them everywhere. There's loads of scams doing the rounds, but they are used for plenty good. So I've got David O'Keefe, who is one of the co-founders of SeeGap, because I guess you see a gap in the market, eh? Oh, God, that's the intro. Anyway, hi, Dave, if you want to introduce yourself and explain who you are and what you do.
Yes, so obviously my name is David. I'm one of the founders at SeeGap. Really what we're doing over at SeeGap is we're helping consumer brands take their static product packaging, turn that into an interactive and engaging experience for their consumers, but also allowing the brand to build a direct relationship with that customer as they have the product in their hand. Ultimately, what we're using is the QR code. QR codes are just a tool to bring the customer from the online world or the offline world to an online experience that SeeGap essentially creates. Like you said, there's a lot of bad press about QR codes, but at the end of the day, it's just a tool. It's where that tool takes you is where SeeGap comes into play.
And it's a really fascinating time market. And I will get into that in a few minutes, but what I want to kind of start with is where did this idea come from? Like, what was the eureka moment where you went, you know what, I'm all in on this QR code business and trying to bring, as you said, the offline to online and, you know, connect that customer journey for, I suppose, consumer brands. Yeah,
most definitely. Yeah, I suppose there isn't one eureka moment, but to be fully transparent, the idea originally was not mine. It's chopped and changed since we've worked on it, but the basis of the idea was started by one of our co-founders, and it's a very interesting story of how that came about. Now, I won't drop his name, but essentially he's got a son, and that son is a very picky eater, as a lot of kids are. They only eat a certain brand of certain products, and his son was a huge fan of sweet potato chips. This little guy loved sweet potato chips, but he only loved one brand of sweet potato chips. Now, one day, my co-founder noticed that his son was no longer eating his favorite brand. There was something going on. Now, the son has some trouble communicating verbally, and he couldn't really figure out what was wrong with the product. Something was wrong. Something went wrong somewhere, but ultimately, he couldn't figure it out. Now, my co-founder is someone who likes to get to the bottom of problems. So he rang up the brand in question, and I won't drop names of who the brands were because everyone will know them, and I don't want that publicity.
But take legal case straight off the pocket. Let's go.
Exactly. He rang him up, couldn't get through to them, sent him an email, didn't hear back, rang him up again, couldn't get through to them. And again, it's just because he's one of those guys that wants to get to the bottom of things. He has a retail background. So he kept trying and trying, kept trying and trying. Eventually, he got in touch with someone in the company. And through multiple conversations, he had found out that a bad batch of 5,000 bags of sweet potato chips had gone into the Irish market. The starch on the potatoes hadn't been washed out in the supply chain. And lo and behold, when it went into the Irish market, the usual quality product that they were releasing had significantly dropped. And what piqued his interest was he had found out that only 3 people had given the negative feedback towards this product. So out of 5,000 bags, only 3 people had actually given negative feedback. And his reasoning there was how difficult it is to give feedback, number one, for the consumer. If you go to give negative feedback, you're going to a corporate website, you're sending an email address, you're trying to call someone. It's quite difficult to give that feedback. But on the flip side of that, for the brand in question, how valuable customer feedback is, it's very difficult for them to actually capture that feedback themselves and then ultimately get tangible insights from that feedback. So that was the basis of SeeGap. We believe we've solved that problem by attaching a QR code to the product. So customers can scan a QR code, they can give some feedback, they can get rewarded for giving that feedback, and ultimately the brand can get much clearer insights into the performance of those products, and they can spot when things go wrong, like a bad batch of 5,000 bags going out into the market.
Yeah, like if something goes horrifically wrong, people want to be able to, like, people love a good bitch and a moan, and I think people generally give feedback when something goes wrong, and the ease of access to that it can be a problem. But also when something goes brilliantly right, you want to congratulate or reward someone for doing so. And again, it's an equally troubling process. Like, you've obviously heard the same story I've been hearing about the change of the humble Muju bottle that has caused a little bit of aggro for some people. It's like the little change of the cap. It's like, okay, I can't get in touch with these guys. So essentially, like, am I correct in saying packaging is changing or has to change in the near future, and that's why this move to a QR code system makes sense right now anyway, or kind of what's the, because you were trying to explain this to me before, but like explain it to me like you're trying to explain it to your mom.
Most definitely. Well, I think first and foremost, there is news coming up where GS1 have manufactured barcodes globally. 99% of the barcodes you see on the open market is a GS1 barcode. Okay. And they've essentially announced that in a few short years, the barcode after 50 years is going to be replaced by QR codes. Now, it's kind of funny because QR codes are 30 years old, so there's only really 20 years worth of difference. But there's a lot of different features added to that QR code. At the same time, though, John, I believe if this change didn't happen, I still think there's so much use cases for QR codes on products. Like consumer brands nowadays, there's so much more than just a product that gets sold on a shelf. It's about the story behind that product. It's about how that product is made, where it's made, the ingredients they used. There's so much more to that product, but there's such little packaging space. Like we've a client here, Parachute.
Oh, I love this. We're coming. We've got some examples. Let's see.
Parachute CBD. So a fantastic product, tastes amazing. So much benefits to this product as well. And Parachute CBD have so much other products that a customer who buys this is going to want to see. Now, historically, you just have the packaging there. You know, you can include some benefits, which is great, but ultimately, if you have a QR code like that, with one scan, the customer can get detailed product information, detailed benefits, the story of Parachute CBD. They can also get feedback on their experience, and then at the same time, they can find out other products that Parachute CBD sells, like their gummy drops or their oil drops. So it's turning that one-time customer into someone who's familiar with all of your brand, familiar with your story, more engaged, more loyal, and ease of access to actually purchase more of those products.
Yeah, and you know what? We're already getting comments in. We're getting needs to be rolled out everywhere. Great idea. The number of times I want to give feedback and had no way to do it. I mean, this is true. Like, what you're really finding is, it's that brand loyalty is a major thing. Like you see brands, let's shoot off a couple of ideas off the top of your head, like the Gym and Coffee brand. People buy that, they stick with the brand because there's that emotional connection. People buy Apple iPhones. They're not the best phones on the market, but it's the feeling that you get with it. And people, once they're in the ecosystem, they want the rest of the ecosystem. It's like right now I'm wearing Adidas pens, Adidas shoes, and underneath this there's an Adidas t-shirt. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? It's that circular loop of keeping an engaged customer, and I suppose like nutritional benefits, because you see apps, I suppose, like MyFitnessPal, and you can kind of kick out the middleman there, I suppose.
Yes, most definitely. The most famous one is Yucca. Great app based out of France. You can scan a barcode and Yucca will essentially give you a 1 to 100 rating of that product. But at the same time, Yucca isn't exactly accurate. So I think it's better if the brand can tell their story. And again, look, not every brand is going to want to be transparent about what's in their products. With SeeGap, again, it's very flexible. If a brand doesn't want to be transparent, look, it's unfortunate for the consumer, but I mean, not every brand is going to want to be transparent, but some brands are going to be transparent. They're going to want to shout their story from the top of the roof. So there are different options, of course. It's not just for brands that sell a health conscious product or something to that effect.
Well, what I like, Joe, I've been kind of thinking about a lot, like since we've obviously started talking about it, and like there's so many use cases. Like I've obviously said to you before, like my family are in the jewelry trade, and what you could do is have a little barcode within the box to show the sourcing of a diamond, because you want, you don't know, but it wants to be buying blood diamonds. You want ethically sourced products. Yeah. If you're slightly chunky and a little bit funky like myself, and you want to trim off a little bit of weight, I'm looking at the back of a thing and going, yeah, okay, your serving proportion is 140 grams, but what does that mean when the bar is 300 grams? And I'm going to eat the whole thing anyway, so tell me how much damage I'm doing. Just give me the honest feedback here. I mean, yeah, is it like, I suppose your target here is consumer brands, predominantly just what's on the shelf in your Dunnes, your Tesco's, or yeah, where are you at now? Where are we planning on going? Kind of, I want the story of SeeGap.
Got you. Okay. So we started probably about 8 months ago, and we'd done market research prior to that, just having conversations. As we've learned in the New Frontiers program, it's really important. Oh, yeah. We got some great feedback. We did get some great insights. And ultimately, we launched with our first few clients at the start of this year, be it Parachute CBD and Ballymaloo Foods. Now, with that being said, they were early launch customers. There was a lot of stress testing involved. There was a lot of mistakes made on both of our sides. And we're in a really good spot now with some very exciting clients. I can't just name drop yet.
Not yet.
But give me a few months, give me a few more sales calls to get them over the line. And we're doing some very exciting things in the new year. Because at the same time, as mentioned, John, the GS1 packaging update is coming into play.
Yeah.
QR codes are going to come the new normal on packaging. And I hate to say that word new normal, but it fits the new normal on packaging. And ultimately, at the same time, brands are going to have to start adopting QR codes. But brands are going to want to get the most value out of QR codes because they're not a new technology, but they are new for consumer packaged goods. And with that being said, you want to get the most value out of this. You don't just want to send it to a generic corporate website that customers can't really find what they're looking for. It's not optimized for mobile phone usage. You want the experience to be as rich as possible. You want the value to be as big as possible for the brand and for your consumer as well.
This makes a lot of sense. It makes so much sense. I have a question though, because I have seen an awful lot of hassle with QR codes at the moment. Now, actually, before that, it's actually quite nice to know that I'm slightly older than a QR code. I did not know it was 30-year-old technology. So you're after making me feel a little bit fucking ancient there, but appreciate that. But yeah, no, I've seen a lot of it lately doing the rounds on social media, these QR scams. You've got people putting these ticket tokens on top of like parking meters and being like, scan here to pay, or as they should say, scam here to pay.
Yeah.
Like, how is that affecting, I suppose, the optics of the QR code, or just even your own opinions on the shit sticks that are doing this crack?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always going to be scam artists who are opportunistic and going to take advantage of trends. And one of those trends is a surge in QR code popularity. And the one negative about a QR code is you can scan that QR code, but you don't really know what's on the other side. It's almost like clicking a link you get sent on email, clicking a phishing link. But ultimately, at the same time, scanning that QR code alone is not going to take money from your bank account. That's not going to happen. There has to be some payment involved. So my number one recommendation would be, if you scan a QR code, do not pay for something on the other side unless you are 100% certain that it's not a scam link. How you can prevent this? Number one, make sure the QR code looks legitimate. In the example you said with the payment, it wasn't even stuck on correctly. It was slightly out of alignment, and it's just a basic QR code. Think of the scam artists here. Are they going to go through the effort of designing this amazing looking QR code with a really nice call to action that fits the product that it sits on? Really, they're not going to do that. It's going to be a quick fix. And in this example, it was a quick fix. It was printing a QR code, placing it poorly over the QR code, because even a scam artist can't do that. And then ultimately it led to a site where it asked for payment details. I wouldn't say be afraid of QR codes. I would say be mindful of them. The same way when you're on the internet, you're mindful of what you're clicking on. Just take a few seconds to think about the QR code you're scanning. If it's hard built into a package, it's not going to be a scam. To give you an example, that's hard built into that package. There is no way that a scam artist can
I didn't take a little sticker and flop it on top of it and go,
exactly. And even still, at the same time, if it's a sticker, does it look designed well? Does it match the product? Are other products on the shelf, do they also have that sticker? And then, of course, is there payment on the other side? Because with all the SeeGap's sites initially, we're not going to ask you for payment. It's going to be, hey, enter this competition. Hey, find out product info, etc., etc. So yes, QR codes, there is an element of scam, but take those couple of extra seconds, have a think about it, and you're going to be completely fine. And pay for parking by typing it in, or bring cash,
Don't do that. No, like, I suppose, like, this is the thing. Like, when it comes to new technologies, there's an automatic fear factor. Like, you hear the words AI, and there's a certain population that goes, "Oh, that's going to take our jobs." Yeah. You're going to see something like Revolut. When Revolut first came in, it's like, "Oh, the government's going to be tracking everywhere I spend my money." It's like, okay, man, now, like,
anyway.
There's a bit much. There's a bit much to this. We've got a question from the audience. Is it difficult to change the packaging to get a QR code on it? And at what stage should producers look to get you in the process of adding something like this? So basically a packaging question.
Yeah, it's a great question. At the same time, what we would always recommend is what we say to our clients is, we're not going to ask you to redesign your packaging there and then. You might have 100,000 printed labels. We're not going to ask you to throw those away. That is something we would never do, because we don't want you to waste money. At the same time, a lot of planning needs to go into this. A lot of stakeholders need to view their packaging and actually make the decision on QR codes. So what we've seen is plan in place. You know, if you're 3 months out from a rebrand, start putting plans in place now. That is when someone like SeeGap would step in, brand refresh, brand rebrand, maybe a new product that you're launching. And then so long as you've got the space for the QR code, which is 2 by 2 centimeters, so long as you've got some space for a punchy call to action to really grab the customer's attention, you're going to be good to go.
I suppose you could retrofit some packaging as well. Like if they have a space on the packaging, you could either do like sticker tabs or like vinyl print, kind of vinyl overlay printing and stuff like that. Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because I suppose people get used to the barcode, and if you see a different code on the packaging, you might just assume that that's just to scan at the till. It's so much more than that. But like, yeah, QR. Like, I kind of want to go back to the scamming thing actually for a second, because like I've seen some. There's actually been some mad ones, because I got a text message about a week ago, right, and it was from Vodafone off an 083 number. Now, I'm not with either provider, but there is these telltale signs when people are coming in trying to, pull a fast one. And like the QR codes is an obvious one, because there's free builder websites but the codes look dirty for a start. They last for a limited amount of time. So that's actually something that people, I don't think, know about a lot of QR codes, is that, these basic model QR codes, they last for 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, whatever, very low predetermined amount of time. So you can tell the signs. And as you said, the landing page is an obvious one. When you scan a code and it looks like it was drawn by a 6-year-old with a crayon, back out, run away. Don't do that. So it's all about, I suppose, like the whole point of the brand is it's about transparency from all parties about what they do. I like this. Yeah, I really like this. I mean, you're in a very interesting space right now, because I kind of want to talk about something that you're probably a bit too humble for your own good, because I know that you're on the shortlist for the National Startup Awards.
Yes.
Talk to me.
Yes, so we obviously did that a couple of weeks ago. We did it last year. We did the emerging tech startups. We ended up not placing, and it left a bitter taste in my mouth, as I was telling you yesterday, John. I'm a guy who sits at home before bed, visualizing his future, believing in manifestation, believing in praying to God, of course. And I did a lot of praying, I did a lot of manifesting, and lo and behold, we didn't get the win. But I think there's a lesson in your losses, and the biggest lesson from that day was, number one, don't be cocky. Number two, my pitch just wasn't up to standard. So we went and we did it again this year. I do love awards. I think they're great. At the same time, though, they are taking focus away from the actual growing of your business. So it's important to weigh up the options. But I think the National Startups Awards, it's a great organization. It's a great night out up in City Hall, lots of networking. And hey, if I come away with an award, that's great. If not, I still pitched in front of a panel of judges. I still grew my network a bit. It didn't take too much time away from the business, because, to be fully transparent, I did the application on a Sunday night, 2 hours before it was submitted. But I think things like this are fun, so long as you're not doing too much of them, because at the end of the day, is it going to get you a customer? It might get you some, but I think your time is much more better spent growing the business, cold calling, reaching out to brands, growing your network as well. I think, but yeah, it's a great opportunity. We're going up to City Hall next week. Very competitive category. We're in the retail and emerging and e-commerce sector. Some amazing brands in there. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Pitch went well, but it's in the hands of 3 very lovely judges. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, Joe, you can kind of make a good point, I suppose. Like the thing with the awards is they're great. They're brilliant for like, showing that you're on the right track, showing that there's value in what you're doing. And you know what? If you get to have a few pints and feel good that you're doing something good, I'm saying it's a win.
Yeah.
Like, we obviously, like the thing I do outside of here, we got nominated on the regionals. Now we didn't make nationals, so I don't get to come on the beer with you next week, but we'll do that another time.
We will.
So like, right. Talk to me. We're going to go to the awards next week. We're going to place at least, because that's what I manifested for you. We're going to place at least. What does like the next 3, 6, and 12 months have in store for SeeGap? What's the short-term and medium-term plan?
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's get more clients. It's get our name out there, get our solution out there. We think we can do fantastic things for brands, but ultimately we're entering a space that is quite competitive. We're entering an industry that has a lot of employees, big, massive organizations. And with that being said, we do need, proof of concept. We need case studies to back it up. And we have a lot of those to a degree because we have been building QR code solutions for a number of years now in a separate company. But the next 3 to 6 months, it's just about growing the business, getting those case studies, bringing value to our clients, and then ultimately just ramping things up, just continuously growing, compounding, going into the UK as soon as possible, going across Europe as soon as possible. Again, this mandate that involves GS1, it's not just in Ireland, it's not just in the UK, it's everywhere. It's in the US, it's in Europe, it's in Australia, it's in South America, it's everywhere. So the sky's the limit. But ultimately, there's a lot of things that need to go right, and there's a lot of work that's going to be involved. So we're putting our head down for the next 6 months. We're going all in essentially.
Yeah, become the hermit, do the things, get it done. Yeah, no, like I've obviously been seeing a lot of your product lately. Like it's like I don't know, like it's one of these ones where it's so obvious. I can't believe it's not done yet, because like every single brand wants that tighter kind of connection with their customers. I mean, McDonald's with the Happy Meals, can you scan your toys and get see the collection? You can do, the story of your product. If you were to tell me, right, give me in an ideal world, who's the 3 customers that you really, really, really want? I want the ego to show through here and go, who's like my 3 ideal customers? Because here's your call. Here's your absolutely goddamn shameless plug right about now.
Yeah. You made an interesting point there. I actually wanted to go back on it, is why people haven't adopted it. I just think people aren't getting their most out of their QR code usage. They're having a QR code that they stick on their packaging because it's the cool thing to do. It goes to their corporate website. There's very little value for your consumer. And if there's no value for your consumer, there's no reason for them to stay scanning that QR code. And at the same time, the QR code itself, I see QR codes all the time, and it's a blank kind of QR code with no real call to action.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason for the customer to scan that QR code. You're asking your customer to take out their phone, take 5 seconds out of their day, which is an eternity for some people with their attention span, and you're asking them to scan a QR code. There has to be a reason for them to scan that QR code. And again, I think a lot of brands, they're misusing them, but us and other companies out there, we're hoping to change that, and I'm sure we will. My dream customers, it's a good question.
I thought you were going to go all political on me there and just answer my question by answering another question.
No. It was an interesting point. I wanted to jump back. Dream customers would be companies like Procter and Gamble, companies like Unilever. They would be like just amazing customers, but they're at such a large scale. I'm not sure we can even dream about those yet. Not yet, but definitely long term. Other dream customers, maybe Irish-based ones, Tirlán. I think Tirlán would be great. Avonmore, Muju. I'm hearing a lot of hate towards Muju in the chat with the new bottle cap.
Steve, we will get to the bottom of this Muju problem.
Yeah. So if anyone from any brand managers from Muju are listening, I can definitely help with the feedback, the negative feedback you're getting, helping you close the loop with your customers. But Tirlán would be great. Glanbia, I know Tirlán acquired those, I believe. But just large companies with a lot of different products, they need to better understand those products. They need to make smarter business decisions using data from their customers. Yeah.
You had a little sneaky touch there that I kind of want to double down on. You mentioned kind of pharma companies. I mean, yeah, holy fucking shit. I can't believe that didn't actually put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. Like, if that's not the most obvious place where something like this has major benefit, it's like, here's pills. Take the pills. Buy now. It's like, hold on a second. Because there's only so much information you can put in tiny little writing on the back of a box.
Yeah.
And I'm not reading it because I'm sick and I have the flu or I'm, whatever's wrong with me. Like, it's, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, you get some medication, you scan a QR code, there's a detailed video on how to take that medication. There's also product information on how that product was made. Maybe some studies to back up its use cases, links to some studies from PubMed or whatever. And then at the same time, a customer feedback survey where 6 weeks down the line, you can reach out to the brand and say, Did this work for you? Did this not work for you? What were the side effects? What were the use cases? And then at the same time, the customer gets some reward for giving that feedback, positive or negative. So again, there's so much use cases. Pharmaceuticals is obviously a huge industry that we would love to break into as well. We are initially starting with the consumer goods, food, beverage, skincare, supplements. But yeah, I mean, pharmaceutical, why not? Why not dream big?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Oh, they're like, oh, Jesus, yeah. The more that we're talking, like, the more fucking mad ideas I'm getting. You're going to end up hiring me as a business manager now in the future. It's like,
Definitely.
Sports as well. Like, I can see a gap there of, like, if you've ever seen the brand Common Goal, it's Juan Mata's charity event. So this is a random tangent, but bear with me a second because it will make sense. So Juan Mata's sister used to work for UNICEF. So when she came away from UNICEF because of, or what's it UNICEF? Anyway, it doesn't matter. One of the charities. So just for clarity, one of the charities, can't remember how, but she used to work for them, and she was noticing a lot of money was going up the schwanny for like staffing costs and bonuses and a lot of problems that some charities have. So they opened Common Goal, which means people can donate 1% of their monthly and annual wages to the charities, and they can see where it goes. So like, you've got use cases there that these people get t-shirts back. You can have a QR code on them. It doesn't necessarily just need to be on a can or a box. It can be on physical items as well, whether that's a t-shirt or a sneaker, and it can bring you, like in that case, that would bring you to a page of going, here's what we spend the money on, here's what your money's going to go to, and give all of these tools and cases. It's especially coming into the likes of Christmas when, you know, people are a bit more generous and want to donate. It's like, cool, where's my money going? What's this organization about? I want to, because you're going to see an awful lot of chuggers on the road. I mean, there's Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole here of all the cases that you possibly.
I love it. It's transparency, John. It's just being transparent to your customers. Customers want transparency, and the physical world, unfortunately, doesn't really allow for enough space to get that transparency across, get that proof across. But again, with a QR code, you're bringing your customer from the physical world to the online world, where you can be transparent. You can tell a world of information where you're not constrained to that can, to that poster, to that t-shirt, like you said.
Yeah, there's so many use cases. Like, it's really cool. Like, it's like, and just in terms of like, I want to kind of go through the process, right? So like, let's take your CBD in there. I scan the code. What do I see? What happens when I scan that code? Is it like a template landing page for a consumer? Is it kind of down to the brand to manage where that goes, or do you kind of control that? What's the basically, when I do the scan, what happens next?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, regarding the landing page, we don't want a generic experience. We know what SeeGap can do. We know what our landing pages can do, but we don't know the brand. We don't know their consumers. We don't know what they want to show their consumers. We obviously give best practices, how to optimize the website to get the most traffic, to drive the most engagement. But we want to create that rich experience for the brand, but the rich experience for the consumer as well, because that's the key thing here. How do we add to that customer's experience? Because adding to that customer's experience, you add value to the brand. So it's kind of all inclusive. When you scan that can of CBD, you get taken to a product specific landing page where you can decide which product you want to find out more about. You'll then find out about benefits. You'll find out about product information. You'll find out what's in the product, how it was made, but you'll also have quick and easy access to other things like other products they sell, recommended products. And then of course that feedback element as well, giving your feedback for some kind of reward in this example. Yeah,
I love this. I mean, like, yeah, sky's the limit, man. It's fucking mad. Like, and as you said, like, I kind of think that the point we kind of keep coming back to is that transparency. And we're living in a world where people are on all this, like TikTok is essentially a search engine now. It's actually it's actually becoming classified.
Very good.
ChatGPT has obviously just spent a fortune on chat.com to become to bring in its own search engine feature. So customers are actively searching and looking for this information. So if it's there and easy to get, fucking A. And if any companies don't want to be transparent, then you know they're up to something shady, and you can make a more informed decision and go, well. And there's the thing. It's like, if you're not going to be a Seeap customer, then you're clearly up to something shady and don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
Like, man, let's go.
Hey, look, we'll work with the shady companies as well. I probably shouldn't say that, but look,
it's an educational experience to bring them down the track. There we go.
Yeah. We might push them on the right way to be a bit more transparent with something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't have 101 questions. Like, I'm very curious as to like, what's the where are we planning long term? Because obviously GS1 is 27. Am I correct in saying that? So I suppose you want to be in a position that by 2027 that you're able to, or 2026 probably, where you're talking to government agencies and going, we're the guys. So what's the kind of, how are we going to get there?
2027 is the sunrise period. That's when GS1 want retailers to change their point of sale scanners. So point of sale scanners at the moment, they can only scan barcodes. Some of them can scan QR codes. GS1 want retailers globally to be able to scan QR code at point of sale. Our kind of goal is to be in a very strong position, and we're on the track there, be in a very strong position by 2026, even earlier, because what we're seeing now is brands are starting to realize that QR codes are, again, to use that term we don't like, they're going to be the new normal. So what we're seeing a number of brands start to do is they want to be proactive, not because of this change is just coming, but they also see the value of having QR codes on their product packaging. Our goal really is to build relationships with these companies. This business is all about building relationships. Brands aren't redesigning their packaging every day of the week. Unfortunately, that would be amazing, but it's not the dream. It would be amazing, but that's not the case. And in a way, it's kind of an advantage because you get to build a relationship with these brands over a number of months. And that is really what we're looking to do. That is our main priority right now. If we can get customers, fantastic. If you're going through a rebrand right now, fantastic. We'll optimize your packaging. We'll bring all this value to your brand. We'll get you in a good position for 2027 because this change is coming and you're going to have to get prepared for it. So you may as well start sooner if possible rather than later. But then at the same time, we want to build relationships with these brands. We want to be front and center that when they're going through that rebrand, when they're launching a new product, Seeap are going to be the people that they come to get ready for this change.
Yeah, you made a nice point there. It's like whether we like it or not, whether they like it or not, their packaging is going to have to be updated. So it probably makes sense to get ahead of that curve and already have it in place. So like I would be saying that any kind of companies who are looking to improve the customer experience and get people on board and, I suppose start this journey, whether their packaging is going to change now, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, but have those conversations with you now so that, these changes are ready, that next time you're printing your next batch of stock, that you're already there, it's done. And that way in 2 years' time, you're not chasing your tail. I mean, I've seen this now over the last few years with so many of these different directives. I mean, Google have been removing cookies for 4 years. Actually, 4 to 5 years now, where cookies have supposedly been removed or going to be removed, and we're going to go to a cookieless world. Hasn't happened, and it's been pushed back again and might actually be cancelled. Saw previously with banks when they were supposed to basically go like the Revolut route of no bricks and mortar, but then turns out, oh shit, that the people still have questions to ask, so they cancelled those plans. And the amount of these plans that end up being half cooked or where people aren't given the proper tools well in advance to prep for it, that when the date comes, they're screwed. Like the cookie one is the best example. I've worked in marketing agencies forever. And when the cookie news came in, we were all looking at our Google Analytics dashboard, our simple tool analytics dashboard, looking at my Facebook pixel dashboards, my TikTok pixel dashboard, and going, oh no. And there was no solution and no proposal of a solution. It was just, we're doing this. Now you're on your own.
Yeah.
So this seems like probably something similar, but you've got private companies like yourself putting your hands up and going, hold on, we actually have this solution. So rather than leaning on the decision makers to actually do the thing, you're doing the thing for them.
Yeah. I mean, if you can outsource it to someone who knows what they're doing, to someone who's done it successfully, to someone who can take that time off your hands, take that risk as well, because there is a risk of you redesigning your packaging and you have a QR code that is GS1 compliant, can be scanned at a checkout. But again, there's no value to your customer. But all your competition, they're having this rich, engaging experience because at the same time, you can wait until 2027. If you're a brand, you definitely can. You don't even need to get rid of barcodes. I mean, barcodes are still going to be around for the next probably 4, 5, 6 years. There's no plan right now to get rid of them completely. But the one thing I would say to that is your competition aren't waiting. Other brands in your industry aren't waiting. They're getting ahead of this now. So, I mean, if you want to be at a disadvantage, great. If your product is that good, fantastic, good for you. But at the same time, the competition aren't waiting. So I do think, again, I hate this word, I do think it's a no-brainer. So long as you have space on your packaging and you've got bandwidth to actually onboard something like this.
It makes so much sense, because, like, again, I'm going to take my own personal experience here, being in marketing and work a lot of experience in e-com. Like, where we had the best time ever during COVID as companies, because everything went online. So suddenly it was like, ooh, look how well the website's doing. Aren't we fantastic? And then the shops reopened, and then the website went from, like, if you were to do it on a store list of a company has 80 stores, the website went from suddenly 1 to like 15. And it's like, how do we bring this back up? And it's trying to connect that journey and going, well, we've got customers who are now back in stores and going back in stores and back on the high street. So how do we add to that journey? Because what I would see is that there's shops there that don't always have all of their range. It might be a product that's in a store in Dublin that, because they're out of stock in Limerick, or the shop in Galway has excess of it. So it's like, cool, I can go onto the website, I can either source the stock and get it sent or order online. And for that brand, like a fantastic example of that would be someone like a Brown Thomas, where you go in, it's a lovely department store, but if there's, I've bought my handbag, but now I need my matching shoes. They don't have the shoes in this shop, but I know they have them in Dublin. I'm not driving to Dublin, but if I could just scan, go, boom, gone. Now that brand has me they have me forever.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's an interesting stat I saw, like 80 to 90% of consumer goods are still sold in retailers, and that number isn't decreasing. So a lot of your customers are still going into shops, buying your product there. And you might have a great e-commerce platform. 10% of your business might be online sales, and that's great. You're getting email addresses, you're building that direct relationship, but you're still neglecting 80% of those customers, or even 90%, or even more in some examples where you don't have an online presence. You're neglecting those customers, and if you neglect customers, we all know what happens in the long run.
Yeah, and I think it's even the research factor. There's a research factor here, because you've got what you call like large ticket items. It's like, let's say I'm doing my kitchen. If I'm buying my microwave, my toaster, my kettle, I want them all to match. So it's like, I have the one product from Bosch, let's say. Then it's like, cool, where's the rest of this set? Because they always come with complementary devices. It's like how to link up that journey. Because, like, I think we're all kind of brand whores in a way. Like, nobody wants to admit it. Yeah, brand whores is the word I'm going to go with. That's definitely the word. It's
appropriate.
It's that kind of thing of, if you're kind of in tune with this particular brand, you don't really do the rival. It's like Pepsi versus Coke. You hear the Pepsi drink, it's like Coke is mank, and vice versa. It's like you hand a Coke fan a can of Pepsi and they're like, I'm not drinking this muck. And it's that kind of, I suppose, mental connection, I suppose, is the best way to frame that. I don't know.
No, I agree. I mean, like, there's an interest. I'm pulling stats out of my head here, but I think it's 7 times easier to keep a customer than it is to win a customer. So if you have that customer who's bought one of your products, they've already bought one of your products, most likely they've enjoyed that product. And a customer who buys one of your products, they're probably going to be open to your wider range of products, but they need to know about those products. They need to have a quick and easy way of accessing those products. Supplements, I think, are the best example. I buy supplements the whole time. If you saw the amount of pills I take in the morning, you'd probably be worried on. But like, so much supplements pair well with other supplements. Vitamin D, for an example. I know that vitamin D pairs well with vitamin K2 and that you should take both of them together. But I don't think the general population know that. But imagine you scan a QR code on a vitamin D bottle. You're getting vitamin K2. You're getting the reason why it's a good pairing of that product, and you're getting a link to the website to buy it. And hey, here's a discount code for scanning at the same time. So again, you're so right. There's so much use cases here, which is why I'm coming
from a really selfish marketing perspective, and like, marketing brand managers are going to be looking at this going, come here to me. I want to run a competition, change the landing page on the QR code. I want something where I go and do a bit of lead gen. Well, guess what? I've already got a database of customers that I can get done. I mean, from a very selfish marketing perspective, if I'm advertising to customers and I'm spending whatever money on Facebook ads, I'm spending whatever money on my Google advertising. If I know that I have essentially an offline channel, an additional offline channel to do the customer retention side, then the budget that I can spend on remarketing can actually be reduced. So there's a sense here that I'm kind of picking up on that from different departments within, like, obviously the brand managers are going to like it because it looks pretty and stuff like that. You're going to have the product managers who are like, oh, I can talk about more stuff. And then the marketing guys are going to be like, I can actually spend more money now on prospecting than remarketing because the guys who have the physical item already have got them. I've got a way to get them. So just from a financial perspective, and like, I'm very much going from I want to spend my budget to make the most money possible. Now I can actually ignore this particular segment a bit more because I know they're engaging and acting over here. So there's actually more than just one singular cost benefit for companies. From what I'm kind of picking up, it's like the brand manager, the product manager, the marketing manager, the finance guy is going to appreciate it in the long term, not directly and probably front and center. It's like, hi, we're going reprinting all our packaging, but A, B, C, and D is why it makes sense.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. Like, to give you an example, a product that sits in a shelf on a store with no QR code, how does the brand actually know who that customer is, what they thought of the product, their email address? How can they build a direct relationship with that customer? At the moment, they simply can't, unless that customer goes to their website, types it into their phone, fills out a email list sign up, and okay, they have an email address of someone. They don't know where they came from. They don't know what product they purchased. They don't know whether they had a good experience or a bad experience. But again, with a QR code, every single product across every single retail store now has that point of contact with that customer where they can give their email address, they can give their feedback. And not only can you retarget that customer, like you said, so that you can drive those repeat purchases, but you can also better understand all of your customers unique to that product by capturing feedback, by doing other creative things through our sites as well.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, man. I'm actually really excited to see where you go here, because like, I think even outside the regulation change, like, there's so many benefits and so many use cases here. Like, I'm actually really excited to see where you're going to end up in the next couple of years. I do want to change. I'm going to change the topic here. We're going to literally hard tangent this time, because how I actually met you was through the NDRC pre-accelerator, and then the stars align in a weird way, and then we walk into the Enterprise Ireland New Frontiers program, and lo and behold, there you are again. It's like, we got to talk. And it's like, Joe, I'm seeing that it's something that's beautiful. Like, there's this wonderful like ecosystem, startups and startup culture, I think, that's really kind of growing and happening in Ireland. I'd love to kind of get your thoughts on it in general, because like, you had an idea and then I was like, okay, where do I go? So yeah.
I mean, I think we're so blessed in Ireland that it seems like the government actually want us to do well and want us to succeed. I mean, if you've got a business idea, to my knowledge, if you've got a business idea in other countries, it's not like you get these subsidized payments. It's not like you get exactly. Unless your business has this like insane potential where they know it's going to be success. But I mean, in Ireland, you can start any business you want. It can be the most ridiculous idea, so long as it's not gambling, John, and you can grow that business, and you can get like real expert knowledge on that business. I do think it's great. I mean, I love the New Frontiers program so far. My favorite thing by far is the people in the program. It's great to be in the mix with people who are going through the exact same thing you're going through in their business, in their day-to-day life. So, I mean, if you are starting a business, if you're listening to this now, there's so much resources out there. There's no excuse not to give it a good punt in Ireland. There's literally no excuse, unless you've got like 6 or 7 kids and you're working 2 or 3 jobs. But even then, there's probably
a gap.
Something you can do. Yeah,
there's probably a gap, because you've got resources like Leo, like local enterprise offices. There's a good group of people. We were obviously on a SkillNet session there earlier on. You've got the NDRC, who have great programs across Dogpatch, Portershed, Republic of Work, and the other one who I always forget. Andy's going to kill me for that. Then you've obviously got Enterprise Ireland, and you've got New Frontiers 1, you've got New Frontiers 2, you've got an extended New Frontiers 3. Then you've got a pile of grants, and it's the grants. It's the pre-seed startup fund, it's the priming grant, it's the innovation vouchers. I mean, if you're looking to get help to generate and create a business in Ireland, there's an ecosystem that's not matched anywhere else in Europe. It's like, if you want to start a business in the UK, off you go. You're on your own.
Yeah.
You made a really good point. It's like, it's the people in those rooms. It's walking away from a day job and starting a job by yourself it's scary as shit. Like, and it's nice to be in a room with other people who have a similar mindset, because it takes a certain level of fucking insanity to kind of go, yeah, I've got a cushy gig, let's bin it for a dream, and it's those other people that are in the rooms of these. Like, I've met some fantastic people down the last many years of doing Goosed, like, and they've all kind of come back to the same thing. It's the people connections. It's the, I can help you with this, you can help me with this. It's like, oh no, I'm struggling with this and I haven't a clue, but somebody knows. Yeah. Somebody knows, and we're all on the same journey and path, trying to do something mad.
Yeah, definitely. Is it? I forget who said it, but someone said, like, in Ireland, the beauty about Ireland is you're one or two people away from the Taoiseach if you wanted.
Yeah,
everyone knows everyone. Everyone's a cousin of everyone. So yeah,
it's 6 degrees of separation everywhere else, and it's 2 degrees of separation in Ireland.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so true, and I don't know. I've definitely noticed it, because over here at Goosed, you have me, who's obviously left my day job to go and create a fantasy football game in my spare time. And then literally a month ago, or not less than a month ago, Martin here has walked away from his day job to make Goosed his full-time job. You've obviously left a lovely cushy job to do QR codes. And when you tried to explain that to your mum, I'm sure the initial question was, huh?
Yes, it was. Now, as mammies are, she was very supportive.
Of course.
My dad is probably on the bit more skeptical side, but you need a bit of both. You need someone who's a bit skeptical, someone who's going to tell you that this probably won't work, but you also need the other side of it. Because I think when you get into business, you can be very tunnel vision and you can say, oh, this will work, this will work, this will work, but you don't know what you don't know. So you always do need that network of people to say, hey, try this, hey, try that. I cannot imagine where SeeGap will be at. And look, by no means we're not a roaring success yet, but I can't imagine where SeeGap would be at now if we didn't get help from the LEO, the NDRC, just random people giving me little tidbits of advice. Yeah. It's so important. This whole lone wolf thing it's a load of lies. I think it's ridiculous. Or self-made. No one is self-made in this world. Everyone, every billionaire, every millionaire, every famous sports star, they all got help along the journey. That's what it is. It's all about helping others, you getting help as well. There's no such thing as being self-made, in my opinion.
Or it's my favorite one is the overnight success. It's like, get fucked. There's no such thing. Like myself and Martin, like I had meetings up in Dublin on Monday, and myself and Martin were like, grand. There's a scooter crowd that we talked to before that wants to meet us. We're like, cool, I'll meet you at lunchtime. We'll use our lunch break, because God knows what a lunch break is. Mm-hmm. And we went riding scooters around Dublin city centre for our lunch breaks, and it was great crack. Like, I was over in the Dog Patch Labs. He was over somewhere. Don't remember. And it was like, cool, what are we going to do for lunch? We're going to go meet scooters. And then you're getting messages from the mates going, who are you getting to go ride scooters? Like, we're 8 years doing this.
Yeah.
This hasn't happened yesterday. This has taken 8-9 years to get to the point where someone trusts us enough to let us go ride their vroom cars around the town.
Everyone wants to ride the scooter, but they don't want to do the 8 years of work. To get to that stage,
someone used a beautiful line. There was a beautiful line I heard. Everyone wants to see the view, but nobody wants to do the climb. Yeah. And I think you're in that position now where you're doing the climb. You're doing the climb, and then there's going to be this tipping point moment, because you're onto something fucking class here, mate. Like, you're going to have this tipping point moment in 6 months, 12 months, and then it's going to be, you're on the Business Post, you're on News Talk, and then it's Dave O'Keefe, overnight success. Like, well, I've actually been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
You didn't see the sleepless nights. You didn't see the, I don't know what a cash flow statement is. You didn't see it's those.
The no's as well. The no's. I mean, we've had a lot of no's. We've had a lot of setbacks. We've had a lot of clients who have been this close to signing, and then lo and behold, they pull the plug, and it's very disheartening. But again, there's lessons in everything, and I think, I'm someone who's quite religious. I think God does things for a reason, and he gives you these lessons for a reason. And you have to take the learnings from the lessons, because if you fail once, failure, it's not something you should chase. But if you fail once, you should try and learn again. And again, by no means, we're going to fail hundreds of times over in the next few years, without a doubt. We're not exactly like success at the moment. We're getting there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited for the next few years. We're excited to fail. We're excited.
It's a really good point though, because it is that some might call it arrogance, but it's the dusting yourself off and picking yourself back up again after every knockback and going, no, I know what I have and I'm going to work towards it. And every time I get knocked, I'm just going to learn and go again. I think that separates I can't remember who said this line to me before. An idea without a plan is just a dream. And it's like, cool, you're going to get kicks, you're going to get knockbacks. And if you don't, then you're not doing it right. And if you look at any of the most successful companies and look at their stories, like there is some form of struggle that comes as part of it. Because I think you need to get a bunk on the head at some point in time to get it right. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like you're driving a car, and you hit the side of the road and that's a little bump. You know that you need to adjust your steering a bit. It's just learnings. It's just adjusting that steering, adjusting where you're going. If you don't get those bumps in the road, you're not really going to know. And like you said, John, I would be worried if you're not getting those bumps in the road or those negative feedbacks or those things that go wrong. Because when you're trying to do something new, and what we're trying to do is relatively new, there's so much unknown out there. There's so much you don't know about. I mean, unless you can tell the future, but unfortunately, we're not there yet in terms of that.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We're running out of time. Like, I can't believe we've already been talking for 15 minutes. It goes really quickly. I have two last questions for you. Unless any questions come in from the audience, because there's a few people actually watching live, which is lovely to see. So unless any questions come in, I have two questions for you. Give me your 3 kind of top tips for somebody who is trying to start, grow, or do something different.
Number one, I would say is don't just jump straight into it. Do your research beforehand. We're learning this in the New Frontiers program, that you have a lot of assumptions around an idea. Validate that assumption. Have conversations with 30, 40, 50 people and really validate that assumption. Now, when that assumption is validated, I think number 2 is discipline. I personally believe discipline is a superpower. If you can be disciplined, you can have anything in this world, but it's easier said than done. I think people rely on motivation. Motivation is just a feeling. If you wake up in the morning and you're motivated and you put in a hard day's work, to me, that's easy. It's when you wake up and you're not motivated and your body's telling you to stay in bed and you actually go and do the work. That's what discipline is. So they would be my 1 and 2. Number 3, if you're someone who has faith, if you're someone who believes in God, I would lean into that. I think that's another superpower, is having God on your side, having someone in your corner, because it is lonely. At the startup world, it's a lonely game. There's going to be lots of days where you're on your own. So having God in your corner or having a network like we have in the New Frontiers program, I'm sure there's a lot more tips, but they would be 1, 2, and 3.
I really like that, because you are so far the opposite of me. You'd be like, don't jump in, just do it. Be disciplined. Not be the rabbit on the wheel being chaotic. And it's like, have faith. It's not back yourself and run head first through the wall and see what happens when you get concussed. You
need a bit of both, though. You need all of those things. You need to jump in. You can't, analysis paralysis is a real thing. There's too much analysis you can do. There is a stage where you need to jump off the pier, but make sure that you've got a plan in place before you jump.
Yeah, don't do the stupid of jumping out your life raft. Just yeah. Now, my last question, and it's not really a question. Give me the shameless plug. Give me the pitch. Give me where people can find you. Where can they get the information? What do you want to get from people? What's tell your final SeeGap's story for the day, sir.
Yeah, well, you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Instagram. SeeGap is our name. SeeGap is our website. If you're a brand manager out there and you're going through some redesigns in the next few months, just give us a chance. Give us a trial. We can do some great things on one of your products. We can completely revolutionize the experience for your customer, and we can get you in a very good position for this change in 2027 and ultimately get you the most value possible out of this QR code and build a better understanding of customers and build a better relationship with all of your customers across every retail store that product is sold in. And there's a lot of QR code solution providers out there, but I think we're above the rest for sure.
I love it. So SeeGap, SeeGap on all the socials. And if you want a sexy solution to your packaging to bring your offline customer closer to the brand,
there you go.
Then there's where Seeap come in. No, genuinely, the lads are doing some really good stuff. I would highly recommend checking out the website, checking out Dave's LinkedIn. There's some very cool stuff up there. There's some really nice content on the blog up there. And if you're kind of a brand that's been figuring out how do we talk to our customers, genuinely give it a go. And if you've just figured out about GS1 today, well, guess what? It's happening whether you like it or not. So, contact Dave and talk to the guys.
And look, reach out to me. We've had a lot of contacts with GS1. We've gained a lot of insights. If you're someone who just wants to have a chat about it, not a sales call, my LinkedIn DMs are open. Chat away to me. I'm more than happy to chat about anything QR code related.
Dave, this has been super fun. Like,
it's been great. We'll do it again.
I'm definitely. We're going to be doing a follow up next year and see where you land. And I want to find out how you get on at the awards on Thursday. I suppose I'll give my little Goosed wrap up before we go. Yeah. So, like, obviously, as I said, Martin has gone full time on this. If you may or may not have seen him on RT News recently, which was a lovely day of the week for Goosed. We were on the scooters on Monday, so Martin's doing a big write-up on the changes of scooter regulations, and he has now tested the Bow scooter. We did tell him Bow means cow. That was very funny, telling English people Irish words. He also was using the Loco scooter, so there's going to be a big write-up about scooters, e-scooters, regulations in the Irish market for them. Have a couple of bits on AI coming up in terms of like shopper AI. Have a couple of other podcasts coming up, and like, as our new slogan is going to say, let loose the goose. Do you know what I mean? We are on all of the social media channels. We're on Blue Sky. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads. Guess what? The only platform we're not on is Twitter, because fuck that place, man. Like, it's a cesspit. But we're on all of the alternatives. It's Goosed_ie. So on that note, I suppose it's Dave, thanks again for being here. Good day, good night, good morning, goodbye, good evening. I don't know, whenever the hell you're listening to it. It's been a pleasure, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Have a good day.
Likewise, John. Thank you for inviting me.